Let's do a proton. Remember this. All models are misleading. This is empty space. This is Tetrahedraverse's empty space. Generally 12 around 1. These little guys are free to move, but they can't get any closer than that. And all throughout this space, all throughout this packing, there are these gaps. Now, what happens? What would happen if the one in the middle here were missing? Tverse's origin sequence, which I may get into, it's very complicated, says that it's possible to produce 12 around none. If this guy were missing, it would be 12 around none, and what would happen? All of these other points would move inward a little bit, and all of the gaps would disappear. That would leave us with a perfect regular icosahedron of points which had 6 crossing gaps inside it. Those gaps would be located where this guy used to be. Between this point and this point, way far apart, there's gap. Between this point and this point, there's gap. Between this point and this point, there's gap. Now, the neat thing about that is, if these guys all move inward a little bit and close up and make a regular icosahedron with some gaps inside, that means that all of the other points that are outboard of this, there's a point here resting against these 3, there's a point here resting against these 3, and so on and so on and so on. When these guys all move inward a little bit, the ones that are resting on them move inward a little bit, and the ones that are resting on those move in a little bit, and the ones that are resting on those move in a little bit. And since this is all space out here, what do we call that? I call it shrunken space. The proton, the tetrahedraverse proton, shrinks space. What does that mean? Substitute the word curves and you'll get it. That's gravity. What is mass? Mass is curved space. And when physics is looking for the proton and looking for the quarks inside the proton, of which I say there are 6 because there are 6 gaps inside, physics is looking at the gaps. There's nothing in there. All that expensive stuff that physics is using to find out what's inside the proton equates pretty much to chasing a rabbit down a hole. This is just too simple, folks. 12 around 1, generally speaking, all over the place is space. 1 missing in the center of a group of 12 allows the 12 to collapse. That's a proton. Have fun. We'll go on.